Welcome to the Grab a Hole podcast. I'm your host, Justin S. I am back in the pool house alongside my co-host Damian, who is out on his patio on this warm evening as we have now officially broke into the 90s once again for multiple days, it seems like. And we're triple digits this weekend is what we're said. So are you going to be out in the patio in the pool this weekend, Damian?
I am actually headed out to the Central Coast this weekend. It's my brother's 30th birthday. We're going to do a round of golf out there, Black Lake Golf Course in Napomo, and then headed out to Pismo for the car show.
Nice.
Gonna be we're not gonna be driving anywhere, but we'll be around a bunch of cars, and a bunch of booze.
Nice. That'll work. Can't beat that out on the golf course.
So
Hopefully it'll
it's
make the
gonna be
golf game better.
it's gonna be hot out there too. I imagine if it's 100 here, it's gonna be about 80 over there, and you
Right.
can still feel that.
Yeah, that's coastal warm right there.
Yeah. The thing is that kills you sometimes because you feel really good, and then before you know it, you're
You're
redder
fried.
than you expect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It'll
I
get
don't
you. It
get red.
sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it does.
That's for
We're gonna
sure.
look like Kane. Big
Well,
red machine out there.
if you are watching us on YouTube and or Spotify, we appreciate it. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Audible, or Amazon Music, thank you. Make sure that you hit the plus, the heart, the bell. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. The more subscriptions, the better. So that way you get these as soon as they're uploaded, as soon as they drop. So that way we can make sure that you guys get them on every Tuesday or Wednesday night, depending on what day we're recording them on. I try to get, I'm the editor of the show as well. So I try to get them up the same night that we record them through Spotify and on YouTube. So make sure that you have that taken care of. So that way you get that notification as soon as the new episode drops. We got quite a bit to talk about, and it's not all in-ring related this week. So we are going to talk first about Saturday night's main event, coming off of that. At the time that we did our predictions, we did not have the Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green rematch as a part of our predictions. So we only had 4 matches that we predicted. I went 2-2 and you went 3-1. So as far as if we eliminate the pick that we didn't make, you came out ahead in that one. The difference being John Cena is who you took. That was the one that you took in that win. And I took Ron Cena, who did not finish the job. But let's go over the results and we'll talk a little bit about the show and about the matches, and we'll go from there. In the opener, we saw Seth and Braun versus Sammy and CM Punk. They would go 13 minutes, 13 seconds, and a returning Bronson Reed would be the difference maker in that match to help Seth and Braun get that victory picked up there. And it would seem, as we found out on Raw, that they have now added a big body to an already strong stable. Zelina Vega took on Chelsea Green, as we mentioned. They went 5 minutes, 10 seconds. Zelina Vega took the win, although Chelsea Green got to go home with a broken nose. We saw John Cena versus Ron Cena. They went 4 minutes, 25 seconds. John Cena picks up the win as expected. Then we would have the cage match, Damian Priest taking on Drew McIntyre. They got 12 minutes and 22 seconds. Priest would pick up the win. Jesse Ventura on commentary would lose his mind about the way he got the win. And in the main event, Jey Uso beat Logan Paul in 9 minutes and 46 seconds. And a returning Cody Rhodes at the end of the show would happen. So we had a return at the beginning and a return at the end. Not counting what we were picking for, what did you think of the presentation of the show and the match and the format that they landed it in the order?
Yeah, I thought the presentation was fine. I thought that adding that 5th match made things feel a little bit rushed. Like I was sitting there like, are they going to be able to get everything in? Like it was a 12-minute cage match. You know what I mean? Like normally you expect those to go about 15 to 20 minutes. And in the main event, I was looking at the time and I was like, they don't go over on NBC.
Right.
So I was wondering if they were gonna get a lot of get everything in. So I think that 4 matches for a 2-hour show is perfect. But I think we're realizing now when they do those PLEs and they go 3 hours, maybe 6 matches is right.
Yeah, there's a better number there.
Going forward. Two matches per hour seems like they could pull that off, even 7.
Without like super specifics of seconds and things, it was roughly about 55 minutes of wrestling on a 2-hour show. So about an hour and 5 minutes of video packages and interviews and commercials. What do you think of a little less than half of the show not being in ring? Like you just mentioned that you expected the cage match to go longer and 5 matches was a little much. Do you think that what they have in mind as far as the PLEs, where you figure 5 matches, they give everybody, 12 to 20 minutes plus, do you think that they should have done more of that here where you were okay with, the Zelina Chelsea match getting 5 minutes, but Priest and McIntyre should have got 15, 20 minutes, and Jay and Logan should have went 15 minutes in the main event. Do you think it should have been more in-ring in that sense, where it should have been like, instead of it kind of being 50-50, it should have been closer to like
Yeah, I thought considering the people that they had in these matches, I thought they would all get more time. Like I was really shocked at how fast some of these things went. So yeah, I mean everything. I thought the presentation was fine. It just felt like it was everything was a little too rushed on this Saturday night's main event. And to be fair, I mean they're still trying to figure things out. You know, it's only what the second one, the third one that they've done.
third one.
Third one. So, I mean, they got to figure it out. They got to figure out, you know, their sweet spot in 2 hours. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what they do going forward. But other than that, I thought I was entertained. I actually enjoyed the show, to be honest with you.
What did you think of Bronson Reed making his return and joining Braun and Seth?
I don't hate it, but at the same time, I didn't get it. And they still haven't explained why. I mean, they kind of, a little bit, Paul Heyman kind of mentioned it a little bit on Monday night. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I guess in the history of wrestling, we've seen this where guys kill each other, you know, during a feud and then they become friends or you know buddies later on. So I guess it's nothing new to the wrestling business, but considering, you know, Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins were basically at each other's throats for a long time, and Bronson Reed even, you know, put him out of commission for a while.
Right.
I thought it was an interesting decision to go with him, but you know, I don't hate it. I mean, it looks good. It looks awesome. I love Bronson Reed. I was bummed out when he got hurt.
Right.
You know, I thought he was like climbing. People love him, and I think that's gonna be a problem going forward. Like nobody wants to boo these guys.
Right.
They'll boo Seth Rollins, but nobody wants to boo Paul. Nobody wants to boo Bronson Reed, and nobody wants to boo Braun Breaker.
Well, I kind of called this in a separate conversation with other friends that some people said the same thing. They were like, I don't get it. I don't understand what the objective was here. And I was like, it's a way to protect Braun Breaker. That Bronson Reed is a big enough guy that if they let him be a monster, that when you beat them and you pin him, you've done something. Obviously, Seth's not going to be your fall guy and take too many pins. So that relies on Braun Breaker being that guy. Well, you don't have to do that if you had somebody else. And Bronson Reed is a guy that they can say, oh, you did something if you pin him, but it doesn't hurt him like it would hurt the other two to take pins. And it makes Seth look strong for basically building a wall of muscle around him. So I
wonder if they're not done. I wonder if there's another guy coming based on what I saw on Tuesday night on NXT. I mean, I don't know. It just feels weird. I don't know why Ricky Saints would lose his
North American
Championship so soon. I mean,
right.
I don't know. I think he's a guy that could come up,
right,
look good, wrestle, do the work rate stuff, and be able to take those pins for those. Because even Bronson Reed's to the point to where, like, God, he can't be taking too many pins.
Yeah. Because then he's not a monster anymore. He's just a fall guy.
But it's not like these guys are going to be taking very many pins, right? Like, if they're taking any pins, it's against Roman Reigns. It's against CM Punk.
It's major players,
maybe Sami Zayn. And
right.
So, whatever, you know, that'll be all right.
Right. No, I agree with that. How did you feel watching Zelina Vega break Chelsea Green's nose?
Gosh, dang it. I love Zelina Vega. I love Chelsea Green. That was brutal, though.
It was. Like,
hey, accidents happen, but
listen, the problem that I had with it was the stop. Like, on the 619, she literally came to a stop and then just kicked her in the face. It was like, you could have just backed out and went to a different way around it. Like, you could have pushed yourself through the ropes and then landed on the apron and went for like a sunset flip and try to get back into it or something. But,
you know, she's got to stop doing the 619.
Yeah. Like, I get the LWO connection with Ray, but I feel like that's got to be his and Dom's thing, not hers.
Well, you know, the thing is like Ray does it. He kind of snaps it so quick.
Right.
Even when Dom does it, it's a long, because he has longer legs. It's a very, very slow, but it's very fluid. Like, if you can't get that snap on the 619, it doesn't look like, you know, you're doing much. Like,
right.
It doesn't look the same. So even if she does it to the best of her abilities, it doesn't have that same snap that Ray has on his. So there's no reason for her to do it, I think.
No, I agree.
It might be time to retire it.
Were you surprised that Priest went over Drew in the cage match?
Yeah, well, no. Because originally I thought, well, this is definitely not the end of the feud, right?
Right.
I thought it's 1-1. But I'm hearing somewhere, like I'm hearing that it was the end of the feud, or it probably is the end, and Drew might be going away for some time to work on some neck issues that he may have. So maybe that makes sense. But somebody said that it was already 2-1 Priest. I guess they're counting the WrestleMania cash-in. Unless there's another match that I'm missing. Did they have a match after WrestleMania?
No.
Didn't they have a match at Clash of the Castle? Priest and Drew? Did they run it back after Mania?
You know what he did beat him at? He beat him at, was it Clash that Punk ran in? Or was that Money in the Bank?
It had to be something, right? They had a rematch.
It was the one where Punk slid in as the second referee and fucked him. in the rematch.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they might be saying it's 2-1 Priest now, but it didn't feel definitive because he walked out of
right.
the cage, didn't pin him. So I thought, whatever, it's fine. They're going to keep this going. I just don't know where they go from here. Maybe like a last man stand. I don't like last man standing. Maybe a falls count anywhere match.
Right.
Even though they kind of did that with the street
With the
fight.
street fight, yeah.
So I don't know. They just called it something different. I don't know
Well,
where they go
the
from here.
rumor is that Drew's having a hard time turning his head. That his neck is kind of so jacked up right now that he's got to kind of do the Batman turn, where he's got to like do the whole thing. He can't just turn his head and neck. So the rumor is he's going away for the foreseeable future to get, healthy and take some well-deserved time off. I don't know what you do with Priest currently. I mean, it definitely
Jacob
makes him.
Fatu.
Do you feed him to him though? Like, I mean, you
I
just
think
gave
no,
him
you don't
a
feed him. You
upper
don't feed him. You don't feed him, but you have a nice feud that maybe culminates at WrestleMania at SummerSlam. I mean, not necessarily say just a one-off.
right.
I would like for him to maybe feud a little bit with Solo, feud a little bit with JC Mateo before he gets into it with Fatu for the U.S. Championship.
Okay, that's not too bad.
I think that's the only thing that makes sense, unless they're going to give him a one-off with Cena, which
I hope
doesn't seem to
not. I
make
mean,
sense.
it doesn't
No.
seem like he's not part of the nostalgia tour.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't seem like if you're not doing the nostalgia matches, that he's doing a tag match like they're doing at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, and then
So,
like Aleister Black's a face, so I don't know if
if that
they
makes
brought him back
sense,
as a face. I
yeah,
think that they aesthetically they would look good facing off against each other. They're both about the
right,
same size and kind of have like the those demonic looks or whatever.
right,
So that would make sense as a feud, but Aleister Black's he's a face right now. So I think Jacob Fatu is going to do something with him after Money in the Bank.
okay.
I hope so. I hope so. I think that would be good.
What did you make of Jesse Ventura calling out how he just walked out of the cage? Like
You
he
know
was
what?
like he should have at least climbed out, and then he kind of went on a little mini rant.
Yeah, it was nice to see Ventura back for a previous Saturday night's main event. I think he's a little out of touch with the product.
Yeah,
I don't think he follows it closely. I think they're telling him what's going on and he's trying to
play off
go
of
off
that.
of that, play off of that. So I'm ready to just have him go away.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'll do commentary, maybe, but I don't want him to go away forever. But do those? Just have him sit in the stands like Tonka did.
Yeah. Jay over Logan in 9 minutes and 46 seconds. They didn't even go 10 minutes in the main
They
event
ran out
for
of
the
time.
World
They
Title.
ran out of time. The whole thing felt rushed.
Yeah.
Everything.
And then you have a returning Cody, who now you get Cena and Logan against Cody and Jay at Money in the Bank here in 2 weeks. And two things. One, David pointed out in our group message, I guess GMs don't matter. And then on top of that, there's a rumor going around that the original plan was a 6-man with Cody and the Usos taking on Logan Paul and Travis Scott with John Cena. And in I guess the whole situation being that he's been training with Booker T and all of this, he's decided that either A, he's not ready or he doesn't want to do it. So now it's just a tag match. Because I don't think that between now and then that you bring him into the mix in 2 weeks on a regular Netflix Raw and just go, well, he's our partner now too, find a third. Like, that doesn't seem to make much sense.
I mean, the only thing that makes sense is a surprise partner, right? Where they're like, we have a third partner. You guys find yourselves a third partner. We'll see you guys at Money in the Bank.
They try to like bait it as a surprise partner, you're going to go, well, Travis Scott's been with Cena helping him fuck people, specifically Cody over on this run. So it's got to be Travis Scott, right? Like, it seems a little too obvious and predictable, in my opinion, in that way.
Yeah. I mean, predictable is not always bad.
No, you're not wrong.
As long as it's done well.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Especially with, the dirt sheets and everything. I mean, everything's almost predictable. Somebody in our group of three is going to have predicted something.
Right.
Sort of a surprise.
How did you feel about what they did with John Cena and R-Truth? I mean, you knew it was a non-title match. You knew it wasn't going to be like this wild, Cena almost loses to R-Truth in this like 5-star classic, but did you ever think for a minute that maybe there was a possibility that that's where Cody comes back and like we talked about where I said he lays Ron over on top of him, or maybe he catches him on a roll-up because it's a non-title, so Cena can eat that and it not really be that much of an issue and it just piss him off even more? I mean, to me, it did. To your point about being rushed, it just felt like everybody loves Ron, and then he comes out wearing the Ron Cena shirt, which made it even better, and everybody loved it. And then they got to the match, and it just felt like they ran through that shit, like really bad.
Well, I think I've been saying it since John Cena turned heel that let's wait and see. And I'm still trying to wait and see because I'm still not liking any of it.
Right.
So I mean, I thought maybe that they would be able to do something cool with this match, and all they did was have him win with a low blow. Like
Right.
he's just a petty heel. Like I don't. He's not even like a brutal like
He's not
heel. Like
menacing. He's
I
not
would have I
brutal.
would have preferred him destroy Truth. Like hit him with the belt. Who cares about the decision? And then just destroy him.
Right.
You know what I mean? But instead, he just kind of
Is
like
it?
puts the belt down, but then he kicks
Isn't
him in
that
the
a heel
nuts.
thing though? Like if he beats it, like it goes to a DQ, right, and he just keeps beating the shit out of him, you're
It's like a
taking
win.
away the match from the people. That's a heel thing to do, right? Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So
another opportunity, another appearance that they piss away.
sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for. People wanted to see John Cena turn heel, and I never thought it would be a great idea, especially on the way out. It would have made
Yeah,
sense 5 years ago, whatever, 7 years ago, knowing everybody wants to cheer for him. It's a nostalgia tour. Like it's
right.
supposed to be fun, and instead
It's
it's just
not.
like it's not even fun. Like not even a good fun. Like it's not even like it's like go away heat almost. Like
Yeah,
they still got time to turn this thing around. I mean, him and Cody face to face on Friday night. What I hear is what I hear. So
really.
maybe yeah, they're both going to be at SmackDown on Friday nights. Hopefully, they reignite that feud for Money in the Bank, and then what? Probably Night of Champions. It seems like at the end of
Really.
the month
That's
is
yeah.
probably what
That's
it's going
what's
to be.
next.
Makes sense. I would assume that Saudi Arabia paying all that money would want to see John Cena and Cody Rhodes in their main event.
If you had to give this Saturday night's main event a grade, what would you give the grade?
I would give it a B plus, only because everything felt a little rushed. I liked the action. We got two surprises, two genuine surprises. I didn't expect. I expected somebody. We talked about this. We
Right.
expected some sort of a turn or somebody. We didn't expect Bronson Reed. That was a well kept secret. And then we thought it was way too soon for Cody Rhodes to come back, so I didn't expect him back
Yeah.
at least the way and then at least to set up a tag team match with Logan Paul and John Cena. So the one thing I find interesting though, it is at Money in the Bank. Both champions are going to be in the same match. Hopefully, the Money in the Bank winner.
Cashes in same night.
I don't know if I don't know if cashes in is what I want, but maybe gets involved in the match or kind of teases a cash in or something like that. Because I mean, we can talk predictions about who's going to win Money in the Bank later. But I mean, if they're both in the match, isn't John Cena's title the one that you want?
Right. You would think so.
But I mean, my prediction is going to be now. It's going to be, is Seth Rollins going to go after it? Is he?
Right.
That's not the story they're going to tell. I don't think so.
Right.
So we'll see.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say B- at best. I felt like you said the show was rushed. I felt like they had the right number of matches, but they didn't have enough of giving people what they wanted. Like even for Seth and Braun versus Sammy and Punk, like 13 minutes, and those are the legit main eventers. They didn't even get 15 in a tag match.
Yeah.
Like, and I get what the idea was that Bronson was the guy, and the match didn't flow poorly. It just, to me, they just didn't do a good job. This is another, situation where we were hoping to get things out of the Cena situation. We were gladly surprised about Bronson Reed, and everybody went, "Oh, Cody's back." And then he announces the tag match, and you're like, "He's back for that?"
Well, I thought, gosh, they got me tell me, they got you for a second there at the end when John Cena interfered after he had the interaction with Jey Uso
And
backstage.
Yeah.
And then he shows up for the match. I sat there and I was like, no fucking way.
Right.
Like he's gonna, what a better way to ruin wrestling than
Right.
to help Logan Paul win the championship. And I was
Right.
like, they got me. Like I was like, oh, holy crap, they're actually going to put it on Logan Paul. And then thankfully Cody comes out. So the John Cena situation didn't really develop until later in the night. So that was another good surprise. And I don't know. I think we were all shitting bricks that Jay was going to lose that title there.
Like I said, I just feel like it was a show that could have been done better. It could have been done differently. And to be fair, like I know why obviously Jay and Logan went on last if you're bringing back Cody and you have the Cena situation where he interferes. I get all that. But I don't know if I'd have opened with Seth and Punk and Sammy and Braun Breaker for Bronson Reed's return.
As we were saying, I would have let off with John Cena. John Cena would have been his
Yeah.
music to start, or maybe even R-Truth, whatever. No,
Right.
I think that would have been the way to go. I think that would have been the way to start the show.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's move on to Raw and let's go over what happened there qualifying. We had another return. We had Penta qualifying the Money in the Bank match over Gable and Dragon Lee. Liv Morgan returned. We had Rusev take out Tozawa for Sheamus to show up and them have a moment. New Day snuck out a win, retaining their titles in a three-way match with the War Raiders and American Made. Kairi Sane takes out Liv Morgan. Roxy Perez tries to help, and it doesn't do any favors. So she winds up losing. And in the main event, Seth qualified for Money in the Bank over Sami Zayn and Finn. And we saw that Cross and Sami again had another backstage interaction. What did you think? I mean, I'm happy that Penta's in the ladder match, but what did you think of them using Gable and Dragon Lee as his opponents? And what did you think of him spiking Gable on his face and head?
I mean, I didn't mind the opponents because I could have seen Gable or Penta in the match. I mean, I was pretty certain Penta was going to win.
Right.
But I could have seen Gable maybe, pulling something off there. Obviously, I didn't expect Dragon Lee in it. As far as him spiking him, I feel like when he does was it the Mexican Destroyer or whatever it is that he does, I feel like he's lacking some upper body strength because I feel like sometimes he's like not getting these moves all the way in. Like the Mexican Destroyer feels like he's not really going all the way around.
Well, it wasn't even on that.
It wasn't that move.
He had him up on like what was like a J driller, and then he had Dragon Lee on his back, and
That's
you
right.
could see that like when he went down, Gable tried to stretch his head back towards Penta's ass, which was a mistake because that was just exposing his head more. But it was no win because if he goes forward, then he's definitely getting dropped on the back of his neck, and that's all vertebrae. So there was no real win there, and I mean it pretty much skimmed him where it busted his eye open over his eyebrow. And I think that was pretty much the worst of it. I would assume as an Olympian, a person trying to make it to the Olympics like he was and a wrestler, he probably does a shit ton of neck bridges. So I don't think he's hurt in any way, but I'm sure there could have been a stinger or it definitely could have hurt. To your point about upper body strength, he has an unresolved torn bicep. I was watching Sheamus's Celtic Warrior workouts and Penta was on there and they were doing cable curls and there's a giant dent in his bicep, and Sheamus asked him about it, and he said he tore his bicep 3 years ago and never got it fixed. And so that's what he's dealing with. So it's just like that. Like he's worked around it for this long and just never got it fixed. So however it is however it's healed. So that may have something to do with it, to your point about the upper body strength. What did you think about Liv Morgan's return and then what they're doing with the Judgment Day and Roxanne Perez and her?
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked that she was back so soon. I mean, that was another surprise. They didn't tease it, anything like that. So glad to see her back. I think she's definitely she's taking that next step, right, where she's kind of like a mainstay. Like when she's gone, it's noticeable, and when she's there, it's like a big deal.
Right.
So she's definitely taking that next step as far as being a superstar goes. So I was glad to see her back, and and I think. I don't know what they're going to do with Roxy, but I mean, Roxy Liv Morgan matches don't seem like a terrible idea to me.
Right.
However they get there, I'm looking for. I like it, and I like Finn's eating grins all the time.
Right.
They need to break them up already, and I think maybe Finn, Roxy, and JD leaving and forming their own group, and leaving Raquel, Carlito, and Dom would be the way to go.
So would you rather see that, or would you rather see Dom go off with Roxanne Perez?
No, Dom and Liv.
Dom and Liv. Okay.
Well, the thing is I think that they're both so over now. I think that they could be the ones that get kicked out of the group.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And they can go off on their own. I can see Roxanne and like Raquel turning on Liv, and Roxanne and Raquel being in Judgment Day with the other three men, and then Dom and Liv are now the baby faces, fighting from underneath against them. I can see that because they're genuinely over at this point. Dom's not getting that go away heat anymore.
Right. No, that's true.
So
it's definitely true. Did you think that she should lose to Kairi Sane in her first match back?
No, I was like shocked, and I don't know why it was against Kairi Sane.
Yeah,
with nothing on the line. It wasn't like a qualifier or anything like that.
The only thing I saw was she told the rest of the group that she was going to go talk to Pierce about getting a Money in the Bank qualifier. And then the next thing I saw was that she was facing Kairi Sane.
Kairi better be getting a tag team partner coming back now, right? Because now she probably wants a tag team title match against Liv and Raquel, and so Asuka better be making her way back.
Right.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me as to why Kairi would go over on Liv, even if they're trying to tell a story with Roxanne and the Judgment Day. I still thought that was really weird. So
let's see here, just to double check who's currently listed for this.
What are you looking at? Money in the Bank?
Yeah, Money in the Bank. Because they'll have the match listing, so I'm curious to see if they have all the participants to this point listed in it. So that way you'll know right away what the deal is. Here we go. So you have Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea, Julia, and there's still 2 more spots for the women still to go. So
one of them's coming. One of them's coming.
Who you think it is?
My girl, Stephanie Vaquer.
You think so?
She's coming. Oh, she's coming, and she's gonna win the briefcase.
Damn, that's pretty to start her that way.
Yeah, she's already the top talent on the roster. Let's go.
They're saying that she's going to Raw and Jordan Grace will be headed to SmackDown is the rumor.
They better hurry. They better not wait for the draft. They better not, keep her off TV for a while. Put her on Monday and put her in a qualifying match and let her win it.
Damn.
She
Okay.
doesn't need to win. She doesn't need to win Money in the Bank because I think Money in the Bank's a heel apparatus, so she doesn't need
Right.
to win it. But she should be at the top of the card right away as soon as she gets to Monday Night Raw.
We talked about Seth qualifying for Money in the Bank. Punk would come out of the crowd and wind up catching Seth while Bronson and Braun ran to the aisleway, kind of showing like this isn't over between them. Do you think that this is still going to continue on? Because there's a rumor that they're going to have their match at SummerSlam and complete their trilogy at one of the nights, because SummerSlam's 2 nights this year.
Yeah.
So the rumor is that's where the one-on-one match finally happens that you hope that it'll be. Because obviously, like, the one on Netflix wasn't what they hoped it to be. Then the one at WrestleMania wasn't a singles match. It was a triple threat match. So they're saying that SummerSlam is going to be the culmination for them. So,
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's a perfect, I think, time to end it because I don't think you can drag it on until WrestleMania.
do you think they need to do any more tag matches with the Seth stable and then Punk finding partners between now and then?
I don't know. I think Seth could maybe force them into a tag team match, him and Sammy against Braun and Bronson. That'll take care of one event. I mean, Seth is already busy at Money in the Bank. I mean,
Right.
my prediction is that he's going to win, but I can also see maybe Punk
Fucking him out
interfering
of
in
it.
that match
Yeah.
and fucking him out of it
Yeah.
to keep him away from it. And so, or he cashes in and Punk screws him. Because I would love for them to do that again with the briefcase. Because
That's what I was
I'm
going to
not a
ask.
fan.
Like,
I'm not a fan of it. They could easily have Punk just be the Money in the Bank destroyer or something like that.
right. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Does it make sense to have him copy and paste last year that Drew wins, so then he stops Drew over and over again and fucks him out of the title? Like, does it make sense to make Punk do that again with Seth?
Yeah, why not?
Fair enough.
Here's the thing, because let's say Seth goes to cash in the main event of Money in the Bank against the tag team match, and now Punk interferes. Now you got yourself a nice little 6-man
Right.
with Punk joining Jay and Cody.
Right.
And
That's
you can
true.
do that. You can do that at the next PLE or something like that,
Yeah.
and keep it going that way.
What were your thoughts between SmackDown, Saturday night's main event, and Raw? How have you felt recently about the quality of shows?
I feel like the shows have been good, and I feel like a lot of people are getting a chance to shine. I mean, listen, like Cody Rhodes just came back. Cena's not really wrestling on the Monday night or Friday night shows.
Mhm.
People are getting, guys and girls are getting chances to shine, and there are so many people that are just, I think, doing a great job. I mean, like, if you start off on Raw, like with Penta, I mean, they're doing a great job with him. They're doing a great job with Chad Gable and El Grande Americano.
Right.
They're doing a good job. I think, well, obviously Dom's getting over huge, and then right now Lyra is doing a great job, I think, coming into her own against Becky. I'm a big fan of Roxanne Perez and what she's doing there. And then over on SmackDown, the same thing. Women are doing a great job. I mean, that women's division with Tiffany as a champion, you see her in the ring with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, and you got Jade and Naomi doing their own thing. Bianca cutting a promo that she's coming back soon. Julia showing up. They got Jordan Grace coming.
Right.
So a lot of people, they're doing a lot of good things. And the tag teams, right? They're doing a lot of great things with the tag team division on SmackDown with the Street Profits and DIY and Fraxium and now the White Six. So a lot of people are getting a chance to shine because there's so many shows and so many things going on, and there's so much content they got to fill. And I think it's moving along pretty well, right? And I think a lot of people are looking like they're big deals.
Do you feel like, obviously we just got the Wyatt Six back on Bray's birthday. That was a thing. You'd mentioned people shining. Do you feel, because I feel like in the circles that I'm in and paying attention to wrestling wise, that there's a lot of negativity about what is being booked, how it's being booked, that there's a lot of people that feel like the last 3 years of equity that restored a lot of people's faith in WWE and in storytelling has literally, as quickly as it came, disappeared. And I don't know if for some people it's just because the story's not as deep as it once was with the bloodline and what that took to get to there. And then, especially since they didn't really cap that off in the best way. And then the guy who you saw pulling the horse pulling the cart, so to speak, just kind of evaporated. Like, you knew there was going to be time off. You knew there was going to be some stuff. And he wasn't an every week guy anyway. But by and large, he has faded off into the background more often than not in this last year and change. And I don't think that's been a good look. When you keep talking about him being the guy, him being the guy, him being the needle mover, him being the guy, that there was so many people that they were so invested in him as a heel that they were like, just wait till he turns. Just wait till he's a babyface. And then they did, and the crowd loved it, and he just goes away. He comes and goes. And some might say as bad or as Cena or The Rock at certain times, but I don't think it's done him any favors. Do you see the side of things, to bring this back around, of essentially the internet wrestling community and other people's perspectives of this not being such a good time that it seems like it's falling back into a harsher time of WWE programming?
I'll just say that wrestling fans are fickle. Fickle.
Yeah.
Fickle.
Yeah, no.
Fickle. It's not, here's the thing, and they're right. It's not the same thing as when the bloodline was running hot, right? The whole bloodline, even before Jay, the Sami Zayn story, the Kevin Owens stuff. And then over with the Cody Rhodes and the chase and him doing everything after losing to Roman, building up to that first Roman match at WrestleMania, losing, and then, he's doing Brock Lesnar and he's doing all these other things to get back to WrestleMania, and then that whole run to Mania, there's going to be a huge drop off. Those stories are just stories that come around every, once in a lifetime, maybe even, there's just nothing there right now that can grab you like those two stories did until they fully dive into this Seth Punk and make it as real as possible.
Right.
That's the only story left. And maybe even Roman and Punk when they finally
come back
to
to
blows,
that.
right? And if they go when Roman comes out and tells them you set my career back with your comments on that podcast that you did, I fucking hate you for that.
Right.
And those are the stories that they need to go back to telling because they're based. That's what I think we want, right? We want the reality-based stories.
Right.
And they had that for a while, but now WWE's settling into let's just go back to telling wrestling stories and let's create our own stories here and not focus so much on the realism of it, on the real people, right? Now we're focusing more on the characters, and it just doesn't hit as hard as what they were doing with Cody and even
Roman.
And the bloodline, yeah. I mean, that's family. That's just.
You think that it adds to the fact of when you look at the beginning of the year and this year's WrestleMania being pushed back into Easter and so deep into April, and that they only did Elimination Chamber, the Rumble, and Saturday night's main event in between. So there was a lot of time to digest and tell story. And then you get past WrestleMania and into Backlash, and now it's every 2 weeks. Do you think that lack of balance and the lack of long storytelling when it needs to be, when there's long gaps, and the ability to establish those storylines so you don't have to try and tell a whole month's worth of a program in 2 weeks is part of that issue that makes people upset in this situation?
Yeah, I think people go into Saturday night's main events thinking it's a major show, or they go into these Backlash type PLEs thinking it's a major show. I think what we got to transition into is saying that these types of shows, there might be 1 or 2 matches on those shows that have some sort of finality to them where they finish telling the story. But a lot of times they might just be used as vehicles to get to the next PLE, to get us to the next PLE until we get to SummerSlam, until we get to those tentpole PLEs.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we just got to understand or accept that, hey, Saturday night's main event, the Jey Uso Logan Paul match wasn't meant for that to be about Jey Uso and Logan Paul. It was meant to progress that story into something else. And now we got Jey Uso and Logan Paul mixed in with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. I mean, you want Jey Uso, right, rubbing elbows with your biggest stars to make him feel like a big deal. And then what Logan Paul brings to the table is just eyeballs, right? The more casual wrestling fan. People are going to be, you got John Cena and Cody and Logan Paul on the same team in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Against Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. Do you not want those eyeballs on your 2 biggest baby faces in the company? I see nothing wrong with that, right? And even that match, there's not going to be any finality to that match. That match is just going to be as a tool to move on to the next story that they're telling.
Right.
Right. So I think we get into these things where, it's a PLE, it's got to be the end of the feud, or it's got to be the end of the story, or there's got to be some sort of a finality to it. Right. And if we have to reset and pick it up again on Monday night or Friday night, we'll do that. But I think we just got to view these as there's so many of them that we just got to say, look, this feud, the Sheamus Drew McIntyre feud, that might be the end of it. But this Jey Uso Logan Paul match is just going to be used as a tool to continue a story.
Right.
And we just got to accept that and just the change in the way that we approach these PLEs, thinking there's going to be a definitive winner, because there's not.
The only thing I could say to that, I guess, would be that WWE has conditioned the fan base to expect things to be a certain way with the, 3 weeks, 4 weeks PLE type thinking. And this run that they had last year seemed to burn a lot of people out until they got back to like the Roman and Cody story in the fall. And then it kind of stretched out a little bit because they don't do a December PLE. They did the War Games thing, and that really got people back in it because they were like, oh, cool, there's something here, you know, and then it wasn't.
Let me tell you what's not taking place during the months of May, June, July, and August. There's no football on TV. There's no college football, and there's no NFL.
That's true.
Let's take it. There's nothing on. There's baseball, and there's the Indiana Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder in the finals, probably.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit. Let's take advantage and have as many PLEs as we can, sell out as many stadiums as we can, and then during football season, those months leading up to, and then there you go, right? Leading up to the end of January when football season ends, right? They'll take a little bit of time off, spread their shows out a little bit until we get to the Royal Rumble season and the WrestleMania season going forward. So I feel like that's intentional. I mean, what else are we doing over the summer? What else are we watching on a Saturday night? Are you watching Collision?
No.
No, me neither.
No.
Even though you might be watching All In in a couple weeks.
Right. You brought up
I'll be watching Saturday night's main event.
Well, I'll have one streaming because there's somebody that I know that may or may not have paid for it allegedly that will put it out there that I could watch it. You brought up making as much money as possible. They pulled a switcheroo on WrestleMania. That New Orleans, they bring The Rock out. He makes the announcement. It's going to be New Orleans again this year. That they're going back. That's a place that has held the Super Bowl. That's a place that's held multiple WrestleManias. It's a great place. It's great for business. And then a matter of months later, they went, you know what? Never mind. We changed our mind. Somebody's making a bigger offer. There's bigger dollars on the table. We'll give you money in the bank, and then WrestleMania a different year. What do you make of this? And this is unprecedented, right? Like, you've heard of building changes, but not city changes in the middle of this fucking thing. So what do you make of this in this situation where now the rumor is best odds, no pun intended, is that it's going back to Vegas. But the rumor is that Allegiant Stadium is booked on the days that WWE wants. So it's not a done deal yet. That's why there's not been a follow-up announcement.
Yeah, they'll get Allegiant Stadium. I know they want like the 17th and 18th. It's the weekend after the Masters. I don't know why they're afraid of the Masters. Go head to head with the Masters on Saturday night and Sunday night.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Like, fuck golf. Like, I love golf, but I mean, people watching the Masters aren't watching WrestleMania probably.
That's a good point.
Or it'll be over by the time WrestleMania starts, right?
Yeah,
it's over about So it's fucking bullshit. First of all, like the idea. I'm not. It's not like I'm gonna go to WrestleMania anymore. Or this year, I wasn't planning on going to New Orleans. I'm not gonna go to Vegas.
Right.
I've been priced out. But you announced it. The Rock came out and announced that that WrestleMania was going to New Orleans, and then he asked Cody Rhodes to sell his soul.
Right.
It just looks bad, right? The optics of people complaining, and I understand people's complaints. Like people like us, we've been priced out of going to WrestleMania and getting a decent seat.
Yeah.
We could go if we want to go sit in the nosebleeds. I'd rather just stay home and watch it on my 65-inch. Maybe I'll upgrade to 100. Maybe I'll upgrade to those 100-inch TVs and justify.
Hey, you'd have me beat. I got 86 in my living room.
So what are you compensating for, Justin?
No, hey, listen, that's a different conversation.
Okay, my bad. The Alvinus is disappointed somewhere.
Somewhere.
So, I'll just go buy myself a 100-inch TV and watch WrestleMania from my couch. But
right,
a lot of people are like, Vegas is expensive.
Yeah,
Vegas, everything is overpriced. I've been to Vegas recently, and it sucks. Like, I can't go gamble in Vegas without saying, like, shit, if I lose 2 hands in a row, I'm done. If I lose 2 blackjack hands in a row, I'm done because the minimums are so high. Like, food is expensive. Drinks, they don't comp as many drinks as they used to. Parking sucks. Like, having to pay for parking and resort fees and all that shit. Thank you, Raiders, by the way, for that.
Yeah.
So the idea of going back to Vegas for a second year for a lot of these fans, I'd be pissed off if I was a fan that went last year and then I was planning on going next year.
Especially now that WrestleMania has become a 2-day event with things happening all week long. So
a 4-day event.
Well, the show itself being 2 days.
Yeah.
But everything happening for 4 to 5 fucking days, from Thursday all the way through now Tuesday, right, with NXT. Mm-hmm. So you're literally talking about hotels. You're talking about, like you said, parking, food. Not only that, but you're going to probably want to buy some sort of merchandise now you have what they call WWE World, formerly WWE Access, where you want to do a meet and greet or get an autograph. You also have the fact that when you look at what they've done with the whole thing, it's not really a hometown thing. It's more people fly in from other places to go to the WrestleMania event. Now you got to pay for flights that are, not exactly cheap anymore, especially
Like
not in and out of Vegas.
nobody lives in Vegas, right? Like you got to fly.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to fly in. Like when it's in Los Angeles, like there's a lot of people from Southern California that are just driving
Right.
in. If it's in New Orleans, I imagine there's a lot of people in the South that are, within a 2-3 hours drive in. So yeah, like basically, if you're going to Vegas, you're flying in unless you're locked in for a long ride. So I don't know, man. I get it. For me, it doesn't really matter that much to me. I'm gonna watch it on TV anyway. I don't care where it's at.
Yeah,
I mean, let's complain, when they get to Saudi Arabia and we're watching it over there.
that's fair.
So, but I mean, it sucks and it just comes off as super greedy. But TKO, man, I mean, ever since they've taken over, they're all about that bottom line.
Okay,
Any
good.
inch
So
of real estate they can to make money, they're going to do it
they're
because
going to take it.
all the advertising that they have on their ring. I mean, I don't notice it, but when people start talking about things like this, you're like, yeah, man, like they sell their soul for anything.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it leads to the next thing that I sent you and David this morning. There's currently a piece being written that WWE has put up John Cena's location for the last match he's having, period, for Saturday. It's going to be, apparently it's a Saturday night's main event is what it was saying, but that there's an open deal that if somebody will pay them $1.5 million, then they'll go to that town and that'll be the place that Cena has his last match. What? Are we not understanding that they've cut back on house shows? They've raised ticket prices across the board. Like I was just talking to a guy not long ago, shout out Payroll on our Discord. He was talking about what he paid to go to the Raw before WrestleMania. He was talking about, being at the Netflix debut in LA and what that cost. And it's just like, man, like this. And I heard this on Jim Cornette's podcast, and shout out to them. They brought up the fact of numbers from WrestleNomics as their source, that they looked at the UK tour and there were certain venues where the average of the ticket based on number of people and the number of that they made at the gate, where it averaged out to $260 a ticket on average. Now you can go, well, that's not bad if that's an average, but that's not what we're paying over here. Like literally, you have priced out the regular fans and the hardcore fans in the sense of the people that sit here, like you and I, that will watch the show every week, that want to support, that want to buy the merch of the guys and the girls that we like. But when you sit here and go, well, I have a family and I have kids that like wrestling. Well, you just went from, well, it could be like $260 for me for one show. And if I'm staying the night somewhere, maybe a hotel room. I got a family of 5. And if you eliminate my youngest because he's under the age of 5, that's 4. So there's 4 people that I got to account for food. That's 4 people I got to account for, staying in a hotel. That's 4 people I got to account for when it comes to merchandise. All of a sudden, you're talking in the thousands very quickly. And it's not even close. Like, it's not like, oh, it's about $1,000. No, it's not. It's in the thousands. I can say that confidently. And to me, economically, you can't blame the economics of what, inflation is and where we are economically as a country as the issue for something like this. This is entertainment. Is there a production and an overhead? Absolutely. But when you're having these quarterly calls, when you're having these things in press scrums after the fact, and you're touting how much that this was another record and multi-million-dollar gate on top of what you're being paid and on top of what you're doing, at what point do fans draw the line and go, if you want to aim for that, then aim for that? Because what you said is absolutely true. I don't think that there's ever been a more evident situation than this one. Like, you could say what you want about Vince, but he was in the wrestling bubble about making money for WWE. These guys are not wrestling people. These guys are business people from Endeavor and TKO that aren't WWE people. They're not, as soon as they got the chance, sponsors on every fucking part of the mat, sponsors for every match that go all over the LCD boards and the LED boards. You can't look left and look right and not see 4 sponsors while you're watching the show live, let alone what you're seeing on TV. So at what point do fans look at this and go, man, this is a modern adaptation of what we saw WCW go through when non-wrestling people took over? And now, because this is such a value company and they look at Endeavor and Ari Emanuel and all these guys at TKO that are savvy business people, that this isn't going to stop. This isn't going to be a thing. Like, if you play your cards right in a city, they give you the UFC and WWE in back-to-back nights on a weekend. You mean to tell me that people aren't in the business of liking money? Where do fans draw the line of you're exploiting our fandom for your dollar and stop being willing to pay for that? Or do you think that that's not going to happen and there's always going to be a group of people that are like, it's fine, I'll find the money, I'll make it work?
I think there's so many fans, there's so many people that watch wrestling that, millions, right? So when they have to fill a 50,000 seat stadium twice, I don't think they have a problem doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I could go 5 years and not go to WrestleMania 5 years later. Like, okay, it's been long enough. I want to go back.
Right.
So let me spend a few $1,000s on this trip. Listen, it's not just the casual fan, right? Anymore, you go to Vegas and you have celebrities and you have corporations. It's just like a Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl is not for the casual fan. It's for the corporations.
Right.
So WrestleMania is going to turn into something where it's not for the casual fan. It's the corporations getting all these tickets and giving out comps and whatnot to people that they work with. So, hey, if it makes dollars or what is it?
It makes sense.
It makes sense. So it comes off as greedy. It's going to take fans not going. But hey, it goes back to I remember when the Chargers moved from San Diego to Los Angeles and they were playing in like a 25,000 seat stadium at the StubHub Center or whatever it's called in Carson. And people were like, oh, they're not making any money. Well, all the money's made on TV deals, right? Like all the ticket sales and concessions and all that stuff, that's just the cherry on top, that's not anything that they're worried about. And I feel like that's the same thing with the WWE at this point. The TV deals, the Saudi Arabia money, the site fees that they get. If they sell 35,000 tickets or 50,000 tickets, I don't think they give a shit. The money's already been made. Like that stuff is just pennies compared to what they're already making with all their other
what they already got. Yeah.
So
makes sense. Well, is there anything that you feel like we missed that we need to go over?
Yeah, man. I don't watch a whole lot of NXT just because it's so much, but a couple of notable, outcomes on Tuesday. I didn't even watch it. I just saw the results. I saw my girl, Stephanie McIntyre, lose her NXT
Women's Championship. Yeah.
Women's Championship. And the rumors are she's coming to Raw. I think that's fast, right? Like for somebody that just signed with the company a few months ago, I think she only held the title for like 70 days and they were just like, we got to get her on Raw. Like it's time. Like,
right.
I think she's going to be right at the top of the card when she gets there. That was awesome to see. And then also,
were you cool with it being JC Jane?
I mean, a lot of people were upset about it, but
yeah,
I'm okay with it, right?
Okay.
I mean, I think the idea that it took 3 people to beat her is the way that you do it versus and then whoever, somebody's going to come after her and fight it and get it from underneath. So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But I think also NXT is a place to do that stuff. Is a place where you can afford to take chances and say, let's surprise the shit out of people. Let's give it to somebody maybe people don't expect and let them run with it and see what they do.
Yeah.
Whereas in WWE, in the main roster, they got to be real careful and meticulous with who they give it to because it's all about who they're going to market next. So I'm okay with that. And then also Ricky Saints losing to Ethan Page. I thought Ethan Page might be a guy that would maybe join Seth Rollins. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Ricky Saints is a guy that would join them. I don't know if they're ready to add another guy just yet. But I would like to see him on their main roster. Obviously he's a smaller guy, so it'd be tough to put him in the World Championship picture. But I think he's a guy that could definitely be a mid-carder, maybe an IC or a U.S. champion.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I was surprised that it was JC Jane, but she's been around a while in NXT. So it's not surprising that they went with somebody who's not and especially hearing the rumor of Jordynne Grace going up also, it's not surprising to hear that it wasn't going to be her. But I mean, I'm ready to see Stephanie Valcour on Raw. They mentioned that when she signed with them that they offered her the main roster right away, and she felt like she wanted to go to NXT, learn the WWE style, and get better at English before she made that transition. So it doesn't surprise me that ultimately that she's headed that way sooner rather than later. Like you said, JC Jane being the person with 3 people, her and 2 others included, helping her and making that happen makes sense. It makes her look strong. It gives JC her moment. And NXT's been stacked for a little while. It's been time to kind of push forward. We've seen Carmelo Hayes get his reps on SmackDown. He's working his way up into something important with The Miz.
Speaking of Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams becoming the TNA World Champion.
That's what I was about to say. Trick isn't quite there yet because you don't want to put him in the same spot as Carmelo. So he's now the TNA World Champion, beating Joe Henry in a surprise. Interested to see what they do there. There's a rumor that Henry's deal is up here his deal is up pretty quickly here, and that he'll be signing with WWE imminently in the near future. So
he's got to be main roster, you think, right? or do you think they start him off in NXT?
I don't know. I feel like the WrestleMania moment with Randy, you saw the reaction and that they like his work. He's worked in NXT currently with this partnership, so I don't see why you would send him to spend extra time in NXT. I think that you can send him to the main roster and him be just fine. It's just a matter of how you're going to book him. We're just on it with technical difficulties tonight, I tell you. As always, if you're listening to us on Audible Music or Audible or Amazon Music and Audible, thank you. If you're watching us on either Spotify and or YouTube, thank you. Make sure you hit the bell, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Hopefully, we can get David back in here soon. He was originally scheduled to be with us tonight, but some stuff came up last minute, and so we weren't able to get it, all three of us here. Hopefully, we'll get him back for Money in the Bank predictions. That's fingers crossed we can make that happen.
Is that next week? That's already next week.
Because you figure this weekend is the end of the month, right? And then that's got to be the following week. So yeah, next week is prediction week for Money in the Bank. Last thing I want to say is we've talked about this previously with you, like with the TV on and looking up and how it kind of looked like you were rolling your eyes at some of the things we were talking about. I know that there's times with this new camera where it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, and the reason is I'm not. If I'm looking at the camera, it's actually about 10 inches above my laptop. So if I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking here, but Damian's there. So when Damian's talking, I'm looking at him like this, and this is what you see versus me talking and looking at the camera. So it's not that I don't know where the camera is or I'm not used to this. I'm just trying to look at Damian as he's talking. It's a habit from us doing it without the video. So if you see us not looking directly into the camera as we're talking, it's because we're looking at each other on the computer screen. So
Like I
it's
said,
a work in progress.
Just learning this video thing too, because I always said I had a face for print and a voice for, or a face for radio and a voice for print, and now I'm doing videos.
That's right. That's right. I will say this, and this will be new information to you, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. If you want to join, you're more than welcome, but I will be doing a live reaction on YouTube post Money in the Bank. So as soon as Money in the Bank's over, I'm going to come out here. We're going to turn the camera on, and you're going to get a live reaction from what we saw at Money in the Bank. If you and David want to join, you're more than welcome, but we're definitely going with a live reaction off of Money in the Bank.
If there's something worth reacting to, I'll be there.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
What do you have to tell the people on the way out?
I got nothing.
He's got nothing. We'll see you next week on another
episode. We need you.
Please come back. We need a third. Come back. We'll see you next week on another episode of the Grab a Hold podcast.